On the go here. Right. Morning. Welcome, everybody. As Lee was saying earlier, a cool, damp, perfect English summer's day here in South Africa at the moment. Damp, overcast, cool, wearing a jersey, middle of summer. It's crazy for South Africa right now. I know in the UK it's a slightly different situation. So, being true to yourself. Are you being selfish if you're being true to yourself? I don't know. You've got these runners talking. I had to interrupt them because otherwise they just be selfish and they take over the whole thing. But it's being true to who they are, I suppose. At the end of the day. So, what is it all about, Lee? I'm not sure that being true to yourself is being selfish at all. But is being selfish being true to yourself?
Well, that is the question. I've been thinking, of course, the obvious answer is no. It's good to be true to yourself. You must be true to yourself, and that's our gift to the world. And I'm hoping some people will go down that route. But I was thinking about a friend of mine whose daughter has just got divorced. And the reason for the divorce is that her and her husband still love each other, would love to be in a relationship together, but she wants to remain in Amsterdam and study for her PhD, and he wants to be in South Africa and start a family. And they could not find a way around it. Her remaining true to herself and him remaining true to herself meant that they could no longer be together. And that's played out in my own family. My youngest daughter is a theater person. She's a stage manager and actress and musician, and the theater is her life. And had a very serious relationship with a young man and they were heading towards getting married. And he could not put up with her hours. Her hours were too difficult. She's, if you're in the theater, you are busy from, you're a night owl. And he worked during the day and wanted her home at night. And so that relationship broke up. And so am I saying it's being selfish? Therefore, do you give up something of yourself for the sake of somebody else so that the relationship can continue? And even in marriages, I think about being married and wanting certain things, and those things might be opposite or different to what your husband or wife wants. A simple example in my life is going on holiday and wanting to spend a day or two in an art gallery. Now, Christopher, excuse the pun, would rather watch paint dry. And and so, what do I give up? Do I remain true to myself and say, this is what I want, and you do your own thing, or we do this together? So those are just some examples I wanted to give where there's a conflict between being true to myself and what somebody else close to us that we love may find, and that there's this tug of war that may end up, if we choose to be true to ourselves, it may feel like selfishness. So that's my intro or my thoughts into the subject, and I'd love to hear what you say.
Great, thanks, Lee. Yeah, your little intro there brought up a lot of words that start with a C, although you didn't say any of them. So it'd be interesting to see if any of those C words come out. So. Ed, let's kick off with you.
I'm just wondering what Ivan's been on this morning. He's making dreadful puns.
It's called Zoom fatigue.
When this subject came up and we were talking about being true to yourself, I kind of had a bit of an angle on it. And then when the email came out, it said, is being true to yourself selfish? And that stopped me in my tracks, because that makes no sense to me. I just can't see how being true to yourself can be selfish. And it was interesting when Lee was talking just then, I thought, oh my God, I'm in trouble, because I totally disagree with her. I don't think she was talking about people being true to themselves. I think she was talking about people who had different needs and couldn't come to a compromise. And that's one of Ivan's C words. And it ended in conflict, which is another one of Ivan's C words. And I always remember what someone told me about getting my training runs in. If it's important, you'll find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse. And I think that's when we suddenly realized that actually we didn't love someone as much as we loved Amsterdam. Or, you know, I'm not prepared to go to an art gallery just to please the one I love. So do I love her that much? You know, it's been a bit flippant, but that's it. And then I thought, well, you know, if I am true to myself, if I live my values, if I project my values, then people know how to deal with me. They know that they can trust me in certain areas, and they know what sort of response they'll get in other areas. And perhaps not being true to myself, you're asking me to lie and be duplicitous. I can't even say the word. Duplicitous. Yeah, I think I'll stick to the C's. So, you know, if I don't be true to myself, then people don't know how to react with me. They'll constantly be on edge. They won't know what to expect from me. So I don't see being true to yourself as selfish. I think putting your needs above something else is selfish. Demanding stuff, or another D, is selfish. But, and just to get Ivan going, I think something like a muscle is shellfish. But I don't think, you know, being true to us, you know, I don't see how me saying you cannot have the shirt, sorry, you can have the shirt off my back, but I'm not going to eat biltong. It's being selfish. It's being true to myself. And for the non-South Africans here, biltong is dried meat, and I'm a vegan. And I think because my wife loved me and I love my wife, we accommodated me being a vegan and, well, me being a vegetarian at the time, and her being a meat eater. She was true to herself. I was true to myself. We loved each other. We got on with it. We made compromises. So yeah, that's my thoughts. I don't think being true to yourself is selfish. I think putting your needs above others' needs is selfish.
Great, thanks, Ed. So on that shellfish note, yeah, Kelvin, are you on the high seas or the low seas?
All right, let's see how I get on with this. To be fair, just thinking about what Edwards is giving a little perspective there, and I've just sat on the fence with it really, and I think there's a lot of strong points there when we look at the definition of being selfish and definition of being true to yourself, and I agree with Edward in that respect. Again, self-centered. I'm trying to put in the C there. Being self-centered again. That's staying, you know, selfish. Being true to yourself is agreeing. It's again being of integrity with yourself, your values, who you are, what you want, and some people might not get it. Some people might not understand why you have to go a certain way or chase after a certain pursuit out of life. People might not understand that, but being true to yourself is still staying with that conviction. Why am I putting that C word? That conviction of who you are, and again is this is what I am about. This is what I like. This is where I am going. This is what I see about the future. And I think great leaders are able to communicate that with people without intimidating others, without manipulating others into coming into your own way, but being able to see how can I work with people around me and still leave my values and still be me and still being true to myself. And again, I'm a kind of person that I can keep to myself. If I'm upset about something, I tend, my natural response is to keep quiet about it and do the silent treatment, you know, and moan and groan in silence. And then one day it just comes out. Like the dam's broken, it just comes out. And it's there's chaos in my environment. There's chaos where I am when that happens. So what I'm learning each way as I grow is being able to be true to myself. And being true to myself is communicating that, is having conversations with people around me and again with myself, more importantly, about am I being right? Am I being true? And you know, of course, in the context of relationship like Lisa, in the scenario you painted, I think we do get that. It happens. And again, is we can be selfish sometimes. We have to hold on to our own, this is my way or the highway, you know. And again, it's going back again into communicating, having that conversation as opposed to holding it down. And yeah, that's me. No, you know, not being self-centered. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Ivan.
Thanks, Gil. Right, Sven, what are your thoughts on this one?
It's one of those where, as someone already said, when you first read it, you think like, I know what it is. And then you start about definitions, you suddenly get on an interesting track. And that's kind of where it is. What does it actually mean to be true to yourself? What do we actually mean? Does it mean that I can get it my way and it's the way I want it and everybody has to follow in it? Then I don't think that's actually true, being true to yourself. And I don't think that is being true to yourself. Why? And selfish again is one of those big words. It's like egoism. It's a big word, and you know there is a point where we have to self-care, which might be a completely different discussion with a similar subject. Is self-caring selfish? Is another good one. Where where we have to kind of look, you know, where this goes. And so for me, true to yourself, for instance, is about my values. And one of the things when I actually choose a partner to just go to that point, I had a checklist. And one of those things was, I want to live abroad. And I think, you know, I'm going to move around and I want to live in different countries. So there's no point for me to have a woman in my life who completely rejects the idea. So I had to become true to myself, what I want for my inside, before I even started in a relationship, so that I can actually clarify a few things before I even go there. Now, even in the relationship, because I like that subject and I like that tension is an important one to look at, is, does true to myself mean that it's my way or no way? Because for me, the whole idea of living into my values, and this in a relationship with another person living into her values or their values, is that I found one thing important, that conflict, for instance, or conflict resolution is not about compromising behavior, because that's what we're talking about. You know, we try to compromise behavior. No, you can't go there, and then I can't go there, or if you go there, then I can't go. So we're talking a lot about behavior. We're not talking about values. But for me, it's prioritizing and syncing values. And that is where we both have to come on the table and actually say, like, who are you? What are your values? What makes you tick? You know, and I think things like a PhD is a behavior, not necessarily a value. You know, there is a value behind there. However, when we start communicating those, we can sync them. And that is something that I found with my wife. My wife, for instance, one of her core values is independence. One of my most important values is to connect. How does that work? You know, if you just put it into the context of behavior, you have the idea of like you're going to fight constantly. But when you suddenly learn about the other person, realize like, oh, we can have a deeper connection when she has time and independence, then that's amazing. So I let her live into her value, because all our values, I think they have very clear boundaries. And that's where they overlap, or where these boundaries have limits. You know, boundaries create limits. So our values have limits, and that is where complementing comes in and what we can learn. So true to yourself is, I think, most about communicating and learning who you are from the inside out, completely disconnected from your environment. So it's like, it doesn't matter who you are or what you do. It doesn't matter where you do it. If I would put you in a completely different environment, who are you? Are you still the same person? Or are you suddenly trying to reshape yourself into something else? And that is probably where true to yourself becomes something very different than trying to think about my way or your way. Because I think, you know, if you're really true to yourself, you can be in any environment and you're still the same person. You still live by the same values. You still, you know, will be there and express yourself. And then it's not selfish, because it's always in relationship with other people. It's not dependent on the wants and the things you want to do. It's the to be's.
Great, thanks, Sven. Yeah, some great points there. So, Trevor, your way or the highway?
Clearly, it's my highway. What are you guys talking, man? So I think a very interesting topic here, and the thoughts that I have that no one seems to have brought up, or I missed it. The C word that has been missing here is respect. Now, for those that thought I went to school, I went for longer than most, and that's why I can't get the spelling of the word right here. And I think this, in terms of the topic, it's not about being self-centered or thinking of yourself. It's actually about respecting yourself. And when you respect yourself, you actually you really get to analyze what you believe are your strengths and weaknesses. Now, I'm very much a loner, so I'm into my 67th year. Kelvin, he's still got about 50 years to try and catch up to some of us. And I think back, I'm very much a loner. I prefer to be alone. And I have almost always been out in the surf, perhaps out on a pedal ski, doing things by myself as a loner. But I've been very involved in team sports as well. And for Ed, I've also been running on the road as a loner, but I've also played team sports. And the greatest team sport I actually played was getting married to my wife. And when I think back to all of those team sports, what really made it work for ourselves. Listen, I don't want you to talk to my wife. I'm just giving you my viewpoint, okay? We've only been married for about 40 odd years, I think. And from my perspective, it has been because I've learned to respect myself that really, I don't know who would ever have got married to me, so I'm pretty lucky. But that when I made a commitment to the team, when I made a commitment to my wife, it was about the fact that I was able to respect myself, which meant that I could respect others as well. And I could respect their strengths and weaknesses were just as great as mine. And therefore, when you make a commitment to others, you actually take into account that, listen, if you have a go at someone's weakness, within about 20 minutes, you will drop the ball as well, and your weakness will be exposed, and you will look like an idiot at the same time. So it's about respecting that others can make mistakes. It's about respecting that others have another priority that's different to yours, but you made a commitment in that relationship. And in that relationship, you look to work out how the commitment as a team, oh, there is a C word, I got it, how your commitment as a team and that priority superseded your individual priority, which allowed you to respect yourself and respect others just as much as you respect yourself. Oh, Lee, what's happening? Look at Lee's face.
I've never heard you be so philosophical, Trevor. I'm just writing it in the chat. Like, wow, this is like...
Is he someone on the
Yeah,
internet?
it's a P word, sorry to say.
Oh, okay.
So Trevor, yeah, respect is a C word. It's got a C in it somewhere, but
philosophical has a C in it somewhere too.
Yeah,
this guy Phil, where do you find him on the net? I'm going to go Google him.
Yeah, well, that's what you get when you play with the C team. So anyway,
Life's just a fantasy.
Thank you very much for the respect, Ivan. I really appreciate you.
Okay, so Joy, you must wonder what you stepped into this morning, but welcome on board. Glad to have you here. So if you'd like to just open your mic and maybe give us your thoughts on what you've stumbled into this morning and perhaps what you're thinking about the topic.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed the session, even though I came late. There was a lot of wisdom in it, and I so learned a lot. I'm really grateful for this opportunity.
Oh, great, thanks, Joy. Well, we're welcome, and as I say, you're welcome back. We have these particular sessions every Tuesday at the same time, which is 10 o'clock Central African time, 8 a.m. UK time at the moment. And we also have a Wisdom's chat every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Central African time as well on a different ID. So if you're keen to join those, just let us know, and we can, in fact, Lee can pop the links into the chat box if you like, and you can sign up for those ones as well.
No problem. Thank you very much.
That's a pleasure. Yeah, so, all right, so the C words that did come out, yeah, we had, what do we have? We had commitment, we had conflict, we had conversation, we had compromise, we had communication, there's lots of C, and we had respect as well. So all those good C words came out. Yeah, I don't think I think that for me there's a very clear difference between being selfish and true to oneself. I think it can be confused, but shouldn't be, because I think when one is selfish, then you lose some of the good C words, like caring and compassion and those sorts of good C words, and that's what builds relationships. And compromise is not always a bad thing. I think compromise can be a very good thing when done in the right way, and it can bring people together. Good friend of mine used to say, if you're in a relationship, it's not a 50-50 thing. It's 100% one way and 100% the other way. So if you get that one right, then I think things can really work, and you can remain true to yourself, and so can the other person. So that's my few thoughts, and I try to avoid puns in the future, Ed. I know it's difficult, but it's the company I keep. There's another C word. Okay. So, Lee, I'm going to hand back to you on that note and see if you can change the tune.
Well, the thing about Wisdom's Chat is that we try and follow a trend and to pick up the next conversation from the one that we've just had and build on it and grow it. And so I'd like to focus therefore on this word that Trevor raised, and that is respect. So we've looked at ourselves, what does it mean to be true to ourselves, and realizing that there is this push and pull when it comes to our relationships with others. So The simple question then is, how do we respect other people? And I think it's very relevant for today, especially when we're using the word that's sort of been overused is polarized. We're becoming more and more polarized. This morning in Wisdom's Chats, we spoke about generations and the maybe a little bit of a power struggle between, say, the baby boomers and millennials. And that power play or differences of opinion is being played out in different ways throughout the world and in microcosms. So I think it's a really important question for us to look at. How do we respect other people? Again, it's one of those simple questions, but let's delve into it. So love to hear your thoughts next week. Joy, it's so nice to see your face. Welcome all the way from Nigeria. And so let's talk about respect. And I can't wait to hear Ivan's song for that.
We'll see if we can find one. So thanks everyone. Have a great week ahead. If you can join us on the daily sessions, please do. Enjoy. If you know of anybody you'd like to invite to these sessions, please feel free to extend the invite to your friends and your connections. There's another C word. So there we go.
No problem.
So
I will. Thank you.
All right. Thanks everyone. Have a great day further. See you.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Bye.